All right, my friends, we talked about reading Mark 1 this week. We're going to preach through the book of Mark, and Mark 1 is this week. So I've got a few tidbits as I was reading it that I thought I would share with you. They might be interesting and helpful. They might not be. Doesn't matter. I just thought they'd be interesting enough to share. So the first one is this. In verse 9, you read about the living water, which is incredibly interesting because, well, still water, dead water at the time could make you sick. You don't want to be around that and drink it and whatever. So moving water was what they called living water. And John was baptizing in the desert along with the living water, which poses an interesting question. We were all baptized in living water. We had the living water of Christ in us. How is our faith moving all the time? It's kind of an interesting question. Verses 3 through 12, you might have in your Bible the wilderness, the wasteland, a desolate place is probably a better translation. But here's the interesting part about that word. In the actual Hebrew original language, the root of that word is a place of speaking, a place of asking. And I couldn't make sense of that until I thought about this. When I go to Arkansas to go fishing or wherever, and I leave my phone in the cabin, and I don't have to worry about the phone going off all the time, there is a listening and a speaking that I do that's quite different than it is if I'm messing with my phone. In fact, I can say I experience God out there, so maybe it does make a little bit of sense. Verse 10, the dove came down in the baptism, and I had never thought about this before. The dove is also the sacrifice of the poor people in Leviticus and during Jesus' time as well, and the dove lights upon Jesus. Again, I don't know if there's a connection there. It's just one of those things that's sort of interesting. And the last one is this. In verse 11, God says, "In whom I am delighted, in whom I'm well pleased," your Bible might read. And that's of Jesus when he was being baptized. The interesting part of that is the wording is very familiar, very similar rather, that God said to Abraham when Abraham was to sacrifice Isaac. You can read that in Genesis 22 too. Again, don't know that there's a connection, but it's interesting when you pick up on those sorts of things. Regardless, I hope you're enjoying reading Mark 1. If you have questions or things that pop out to you, let me know or let us know in the comments. But share this around. Let people take a look because reading the gospel, reading Mark is something that we believe will change us, and maybe it'll help somebody else too. God bless. Bye.